YouTube and welcome back to the channel. This is IMAX Sports bringing you more football news, stats, analytics, projections, and whatever your fanatic heart desires. Today I am talking about my NFL Power Rankings for 2020. I have 5 different tiers. Each tier is structured from top left to bottom right, as the top left being the worst team, the bottom right being the best team in that tier. And each slide is designed based off of the top team in the tier. So it's a little fun video. I hope you guys enjoy. Today's docket, we have 32 through 25, and those teams include the Redskins, the Lions, the Jets, the Dolphins, the Jaguars, the Giants, the Panthers, and the Chargers. Yes, I said Redskins, I'm sorry, the Washington football team. So the Washington football team I have as the worst team in the league, because last year they were the worst team in the league, and I don't see Dwayne Haskins changing anything around for them. I believe they went 4-12. They didn't have the worst record, but I think that they're going to have a pretty subpar season, and I don't think it's going to go well for them. The Lions, their offense is not amazing. Their defense is even worse. Their quarterback situation is questionable. They don't know whether Matthew Stafford's going to play, and they're just completely up in the air, and I don't see them improving from last season. So I have them as slightly above the Redskins. I also think they have a very tough schedule. I don't see them going anywhere outside of this tier. Again, most of the tiers, the teams can move around, but I think that the best team and the worst team are almost guaranteed in each tier. The other 4, 5, 6 can kind of move around a little bit. The Jets I have as 30. I know Sam Darnold had a good season last year, or he had an okay season last year. He improved from 2 years ago, but I don't see him improving too much more. I think that the Jets have reached their peak, and I think that unless Le'Veon Bell can pull something out of a hat and be as good as he was with the Steelers, I don't see the Jets being anything impressive this year coming up, or any years too far in the future, because they need some serious changes because their team isn't going too many places right now. I have the Dolphins just slightly above them because I think they have better weapons on offense, and they have Tua. I think that Tua can be an amazing addition to their team, or he could not be. We don't really know. That's why the Dolphins are kind of low, is because we don't really know what their quarterback situation is going to look like. And if you don't know what your quarterback situation is going to look like, you can't really predict a team to be insanely amazing unless the team itself, without the quarterback, is already insanely amazing. And I don't think the Dolphins are. The Jaguars are another team that have a very poor defense, and I don't see them improving their offense at all. I know that I'm a Gardner Minshew fan. I love Gardner Minshew. I hope that he does really well for himself, and I think that he will do well, just not extremely well. And I think that the Jaguars are also kind of stuck in like the realm where they need to improve their team, but they don't have the means to do so right now. This whole page is kind of like my 0 win to 5 win category, basically. I don't see many of these teams getting more than 5 or 6 wins, and I can see any of them getting down to 1. The Giants are next. I believe in Daniel Jones. I believe in their offensive weapons. I believe in Saquon Barkley, but you can't do anything without a defense. We saw it last year with the Buccaneers. I know they had 1 million turnovers, but Jameis Winston had 33 touchdowns and 5,000 yards, and their defense was so terribly bad, and frankly, they did have a lot of they did give a lot of possessions to their opponents because of how many times Jameis Winston turned over the ball. But the Giants, I just don't see them improving much from last season, and I think that they're going to stay around 4 wins. The Panthers lost Kyle Allen. I know that they got Teddy Bridgewater, but you really don't know who their quarterback is going to be. I think that that's still up in the air as well, and I think that their team isn't going to improve a whole lot. I think the Chargers are going to regress because they lost Phillip Rivers. Philip Rivers is not the best quarterback in the world, but he's the glue that was keeping that team together. Now he's gone. The team is going to fall apart because they have a rookie quarterback. Not saying that rookie quarterbacks can't win, but they need to go into a system that works. And the Chargers system doesn't work without Justin Herbert, so I don't think it's going to work with Justin Herbert. Next, we have the 24 through 17. 24 being the Bengals, 17 being the Eagles. I think the Bengals are going to improve from last season. I think AJ Green is going to be a great help in bringing their team back up to pace. They also have Joe Burrow, the top pick of the draft. And I think that the Bengals are going to go from tanking to possibly being another in the mix team. They're not going to be anywhere near the playoffs, but they'll have a couple wins. I think they'll have 6 wins. This group of teams is from anywhere from 6 to 8 wins, maybe 9. The Colts I can also see having around 6 or 7 wins. They picked up Philip Rivers. Their offense was not great last year. Their defense was worse. And I think that with Philip Rivers, he could maybe bring them back up a little bit, but I don't see them doing anything impressive. The Raiders, I think, are going to have a better season this year than they're going to have a slightly worse season this year than last year. They're still going to have a pretty solid season, but it's going to be around 6 wins. I think that their team didn't really change at all over the offseason. It just didn't. And I think that the rest of the NFL improved. And for the Raiders and the Broncos, I think that both of those teams kind of stayed static. The rest of the league improved. And so they're going to go from 7 wins down to 6. That's pretty much it, I guess. There's not really much to say there. The Browns, I have at 8-8. I think that they're going to do well. I don't think that they're going to do exceptionally well. I have them at 8-8 more because of their schedule. And so, because I have them at 8-8 because of their schedule, I had to put them a little bit lower compared to other teams that were 8-8 on the same power ranking. So if other teams have a harder schedule, but I think that their record is going to be a little bit lower than the Browns, then I'm going to put that team as a better team because I think that team's a little bit of a better team. I think that the Browns have a solid team, but I don't see them making the playoffs, and I think that they have a hard division, and there's not really much else to say there. I also don't really trust Baker Mayfield to do incredible. Next we have the Bears. I think the Bears are going to do a little bit better than the Browns. I think that they're in a hard division, and I think that their team is subpar, and Mitchell Trubisky is even subber. Like, Mitchell Trubisky is not who I would pick as a starting quarterback ever, because his first 2 seasons have been horrendously bad. Or 3 seasons. However many years he's been playing, he just can't get any ground with anyone. The offense has been lacking. The only reason why they're winning games is because of their defense. And I just don't see the Bears continuing on their defensive prowess. I think that they're going to regress again this year, and I think that it's going to be a tough season for them. Next, I have the Cardinals, and this is where the major divide is. I think that the Cardinals are exponentially better than the Bears. Everyone I've gone over so far, the first 13 teams, I think are all the bottom 13 teams. Now we move into the middle teams, and I think that the Cardinals and the Eagles start that off beautifully, because the Cardinals are a team where they have Kyler Murray, they have DeAndre Hopkins, they're building their team up, their defense is solid, they're going to keep building up this team, and I think that they're going to have a good season this year and a better season next year. I think that their team is very good. I think that they have a solid chance at making the playoffs, although they're in a tough division. And if they're in any other division, they might have a chance. But since they're in the division that they're in, I think that it's going to be a little bit out of reach for them, which is too bad because I think that their team really could make a run for the playoffs if they had an easier schedule. And also I have the Eagles in this same tier. And the reason why I have the Eagles in this tier is because I don't really trust Carson Wentz. And I know that's heresy, but Carson Wentz, I've never been a Carson Wentz fan. I've expressed this on the channel before, and I don't believe that he's the answer, but they have made the playoffs the last few years, winning a Super Bowl in one of those years. So I can't discount them too much. I just don't think that their season's going to be as good as last year. That's why I have them at 17. On the video docket is 16 through 10. This is a slightly smaller group of teams for Tier 3. We have the Falcons, the Rams, the Bills, the Titans, the Vikings, the Texans, and the Patriots. So I wanted to do 16 through 11, but I think that 16 through 10 fits the situation better because I don't think that the Patriots are an entire tier above any of these other teams. I am a Patriots fan. I think that they'll have a good season, but I don't think that they'll have an exponentially better season than any of these other teams. And I think that there's a possibility for any of these teams to go below 8-8 or above 11-5. So I think that any of these teams go anywhere from 7-9, 8-8 to even up to 12-4. But I don't know which ones are going to do better. So I have them all, and that's why this tier exists. I would have the top 10 in the next two, but instead of the top 9, because I don't see any of these teams being exceptionally better than the others. So I have the Falcons as 16 because their defense just is subpar, and they haven't had a good record the last couple of years, no matter how well Matt Ryan does. I think that they would be higher if they had an okay defense, but it just doesn't work for them. I have the Rams slightly above the Falcons because they did go 9-7 last year, but they lost Todd Gurley, and they lost Brandon Cooks, and their offense wasn't even amazing last year, so you can't expect it to be amazing this year. I think that their defense is going to help them stay afloat. I think the 8-8 or 9-7 is where they're going to continue to rest. Next, I have the Bills and the Titans because they were oddities last year. People weren't expecting them to do as well as they did, and I don't know which one of those two teams will continue their pace this season. You have Ryan Tannehill, who I hope does well. I really enjoyed watching him last year. I had him on my fantasy team towards the end of the year, but I can't expect anything of him because he hasn't shown it in the past. And if he shows it for one season, then you can't just say, oh, Ryan Tannehill's back in the game and he's going to be the best quarterback of all time, because that's just not how it works. I think that they could have a good season or they could have a terrible season, but we won't know until the season starts, so I couldn't put them really too high. Same with the Bills. Josh Allen has had a couple of good seasons, but we really don't know where this team is at right now. Their defense is improving. Their offense is good. Stephon Diggs is a nice addition, but I think that their schedule last year was, granted, a little easy. I think the Patriots' schedule was also easy last year. So I don't know if the Bills or the Patriots will continue to get as many wins as they did the previous season. So I have the Bills a little bit lower than the Titans, and I have the Patriots a little bit higher than both of them, because they did do better than both teams last year, until we reached the playoffs. Next is the Vikings, and then the Texans, and the Patriots. So the Vikings went 9-7 last year, either 9-7 or 10-6. They made the playoffs. I don't expect them to change much this season. I think that Kirk Cousins is a great quarterback. I think that he's not going to win them a Super Bowl, but he'll keep them in the conversation. I think that losing Stephon Diggs is a big loss, but they still have Dalvin Cook, they still have Adam Thielen, they still have Kirk Cousins, they still have a decent defense. I think that the Vikings are going to be in the mix, and we'll definitely hear about the Vikings continuing on this season. As far as the Texans and the Patriots go, they both have quarterbacks that can run, they can throw, they can do everything, but we really don't know. There are kind of question marks. Deshaun Watson is young, Cam Newton is experienced, but he's on a new team, so we can't expect a whole lot from either team. They both have solid defenses, they both have solid, not amazing, but solid receivers, so it'll be an interesting season to watch. I don't expect a whole lot from either of them, that's why neither are top 10 teams, but I need to include them in 16 through 10 because they are the top of that tier. Now we get into the elite teams. This is tier 2. We have the Steelers, the Cowboys, the Bucks, the Packers, the Ravens, and the 49ers. So this is my 9 through 4. I have the Steelers on here and the Bucks on here. even though they will not, and the 49ers, I don't think any of those teams will be division winners, but they're in the top 9 because they are the best of the non-winners. The Patriots and the Texans, I do believe, will be division winners, but I have all 3 of those teams above them because they just have better teams and they're just in harder divisions. The Steelers have a better team than the Patriots and the Titans, especially with Big Ben back. I think that their offense is going to be electric because they have pretty much the same offense that they had a couple of seasons ago, except with the missing component of Antonio Brown. But I think that they'll find a good way to replace him. I think that Juju will have a great season. James Conner will have an even better season. Ben Roethlisberger will have a comeback year. He'll win Comeback Player of the Year. I think that they'll go 11-5 and potentially make a run for the Super Bowl. So I think the Steelers do have a pretty solid team. I think the Cowboys will improve from last year because they do have a really great offense. They just didn't have, the coaching wasn't there last year. And I'm not saying anything against Jason Garrett, but he did end up leaving, and the coaching is I'm going to blame it on the coaching. I think that they have potential to go 12-4, but we haven't seen it yet, so I can't put them in a top 5 position. Next, we have the Bucks, who I could put in a top 5 position, but I think that they're the second best team in their division. I think that Tom Brady is at a new team, although he's with Gronkowski and has some Pro Bowl wide receivers at his disposal that he's never had before. I think that they still have something to prove. Their defense still isn't great, and I hope that they do well, but I really don't know how the situation is going to unfold, and it'll be fun to watch. I put the Packers slightly above them because Aaron Rodgers has been with this team for a while. They've been proven the last plethora of seasons. I don't see them regressing at all this year, and I think that they're still going to have a very solid team. Next we have not the Super Bowl winners, but the MVP winner and his team for the Baltimore Ravens. So I put the Ravens below the 49ers because the Ravens lost in the first round of the playoffs. I almost put them below the Packers because they lost in the first round of the playoffs. Not the first round, they lost in the divisional round, but it was their first round. If you have a quarterback who wins MVP, but his only 2 playoff games of his career were just demolitions, then I can't put them as a top 3, top. I don't even know if I should have them above the Packers, because they do have a great team, but if they can't win a playoff game, then they're not going to go far. And I'm sorry to say, it's not that I don't believe in Lamar Jackson, but it's that he hasn't proven to me that he can do it. And so I think that they should even be 5, 6, or 7, because the Bucks, Tom Brady has proven he can win playoff games. Big Ben has proven he can win playoff games. Dak Prescott has won playoff games. Aaron Rodgers has won a Super Bowl. Every team has a quarterback that's been in a Super Bowl before, except for the Ravens and the Cowboys. So, and most of them have won them. So it's hard for me to put the Ravens this high, even though they do have the MVP on their team. So it'll be interesting to watch, and I just can't put them as the number 1 team. I'll know a lot of people will put them as the number 1 team. I cannot. I almost put them lower than that, but I put them at 5 because I think that they deserve at least. And I have the 49ers at 4 because they were in the NFC Championship game last year, but they blew a lead at the end of the game, and I think that that's going to be hard to come back on. I think that their season is going to be a little bit worse. I think that the Seahawks have improved their team so much that they're going to beat them out. I think that the Seahawks do have a better team than the 49ers going into the season, and the 49ers are number 4 for that reason. Last but not least, we have the top 3. And the top 3 are the Saints, the Seahawks, and the Kansas City Chiefs. Anyone who makes a Power Rankings video must have the Super Bowl winner as the number 1. If you don't have the Super Bowl winner as number 1, then you have something against the Super Bowl winners. So I have the Chiefs as number 1 because they won the Super Bowl. They are the best team in the league. They are number 1 in the Power Rankings. Number 2, I have the Seahawks. And number 3, I have the Saints because I do believe the Saints have had the best team in the NFC last year, and if they had won through the playoffs to make it to the Super Bowl, then I think that they would have beaten the Chiefs. But I can't put them at number 1 because they lost in the playoffs. So it's an interesting thing to try and figure out who's going to be the best team. But I think that the Seahawks this season will have the best team in the NFC. It's hard to say that because they weren't the best team last year, but I do think that Russell Wilson is going to step up his game. I think that their offense is going to click. I think they're going to have an amazing season, and I've been saying this the entire time that I've had the channel. Seahawks, Seahawks, Seahawks. I think that it's going to be a Seahawks Super Bowl. We haven't seen one of those in 5 years. I think it's time. I don't think the Chiefs will make it to the Super Bowl. I have them as number 1 because they were the Super Bowl winners. I have to give them that. But I do not see them making it to the Super Bowl for the 2nd year in a row. And if you disagree with me, let me know in the comments. So thank you guys for watching the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. These were my rankings from 32 to 1 for NFL Power Rankings. Make sure to like and subscribe to the video if you like subscribe to my channel if you like the video, because I post new videos every day. I really do care about you guys. I hope that my videos are fun and entertaining, and I do hope that you guys enjoy them. And I'm trying to make a little tiny community out of this, so if you guys subscribe to the channel, comment down below what teams you think will do well. I respond to every comment that I get. If you have any video suggestions, let me know. I will do most things. There are some things that I won't do, but I am open to other ideas. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see you guys all tomorrow. Peace out.